Hello, my friends. This is Andy Falco Jimenez coming to you live from Yorba Linda, California, on the very first show in the Vote PYL Vote Facebook page and the Andy Falco Show YouTube channel. And I'm also broadcasting on the California Parent Alliance and where else? Rumble. I can't forget about Rumble, the Andy Falco Show Rumble site. Now, I posted when I first created the Facebook Vote PYL Vote Facebook page. I posted a video kind of describing a little bit what we're going to be doing here on this show. This is an extension of the Andy Falco Show leading up into November. Who knows? It may grow into something even bigger. But right now, I think the most important thing is that we begin to prepare for the midterms of November 2022 with a fair number of people that are going to be opening up some space here. Here, at least in Yorba Linda, we have one seat opening up for the city council. We have two potential seats available to us to put in new people that are desperately needed on the school board. And then I don't know yet about Fullerton and Placentia that are also essentially in this PYL area. And as I described on the video that I posted when I initially launched the Vote PYL Vote page, is that PYL, although the initials stand for Placentia Yorba Linda, I'm going on the basis of the district, which is called the Placentia Yorba Linda Unified School District, which touches Yorba Linda, Placentia, Fullerton, and Anaheim and Brea. So I lived in Brea for a large number of years, 15 years or so. And my children went to the Placentia Yorba Linda Unified School District in regard to the school district. And they went to Golden and Tuffrey and El Dorado. I've moved to Yorba Linda, but yet my kids still go in the Placentia Yorba Linda Unified School District. So I think it's important, if we are going to protect our community, that we also discuss what's happening in these other areas of our community. So I'll be talking obviously a lot about Yorba Linda because that's where I live, but I'm looking for additional what I'm calling now reporters that know a little bit more about the Fullerton area and especially it can be the entire city of Fullerton, but especially the area that touches the Placentia Yorba Linda Unified School District, and the same for Brea and Anaheim, and of course Placentia, of course. And so if there are others out there that if you're watching or you know somebody, say you have a teen that maybe even goes to school in one of the schools, or a 20-something that goes to a school still in the area that wants to get involved in researching and coming up with topics that are important to understanding who it is that we're going to be electing come the midterms, I would love to hear from you. So just send me a message, a private message in Facebook. And that's the best way to do it right now until I get another means of communicating with people that are interested in contributing to the show. Already, I have a lot of people. I've spent a couple hours on the phone over the last couple of days discussing the Yorba Linda City Council. This is an area that I'm beginning to learn. I had some inquiries about what I might have as far as an interest in being on the city council. And I'm going to say right now that that's what I was researching is, that potential. And in that, because I wanted to know who these people were, I know a couple of them, and I've talked to a few of them just very briefly or at events where I've seen them, but I don't really know them. I don't know what their politics are, what their leanings are, and that kind of stuff. What's important to me as I begin to launch this show and bring guests on and interview and speak to you about what's going on is that the most important thing isn't necessarily, now you're going to say, if you know my history with the Andy Falco Show, that I'm a conservative Christian, very deeply involved in the school board, and you already know my leanings. However, I'm just as unhappy with Republicans in many cases as I am for the entire Democratic Party. But I'd have some Democrats that I've met lately who are fed up with what's happening in their party and what it is that they're doing in schools. And so I would like to say that this show, although it may lean a little bit to the right, it really is important for me to tell you that what is most important is that we take care of our kids and we take care of our community, and we keep a lid on crime, and we do what's best for the safety of all members of our community in relationship to fire, police, and traffic, and population, which obviously is in regard to this rezoning that has it hasn't said. Well, I'm going to say it suddenly creeped in, but it's been around for a couple of years now, and so it's mostly that we've been made aware of it within the last few weeks or months, especially in the last city council meeting, which I wish I could have been to, but I had a prior commitment, and I really wanted to be there. And I'd already committed to something else, and I could not be there as much as I wanted to be there. I'm looking into it. I've heard discussions. I've watched some of the recordings from that particular meeting, and wow, what a bunch of nonsense we have going on. And some of the people that are on our city council, they really need a spotlight put on them. We need to talk about some of these people who I think in many cases we voted for. Not me, because I haven't been living in Yorba Linda. I've had a business in Yorba Linda for 20 something years. But I've not lived in Yorba Linda where I could vote. So I don't really know these people, but I had an idea who I thought they were. And right now, as it's looking, I was sadly mistaken. And we really need to put a spotlight on some of these people. There's people on our city council here in Yorba Linda, and quite obviously there probably is in Placentia and Fullerton and Anaheim also. Oh, for sure, Anaheim. Anaheim's in deep trouble with their city council. I was a police officer for the city of Anaheim for 21 years and know a lot about what's going on there in Anaheim. And the people that I thought were crooked are crooked. And so we have some city council members here in Yorba Linda that are not the people that I thought they were. And they are putting our community in danger and have decided that they are going to side with Sacramento, regardless of how it impacts our community in regard to this rezoning and the danger that we've already seen here. I believe it was 2020. I could be wrong. I'm not sure exactly. There's somebody that's watching that was in Yorba Linda. I believe it was 2020. I lived in Brea, and the fire that occurred in that time actually came into Brea and touched a portion before Whole Foods was built. There used to be a field there, and the Union building was there with lots of trees, and many of those trees caught fire. I lived in Brea right next to the Union property there, and could see the damage done by the fire. It was such a shit show, if I may put it that way. This isn't one of our devotional or Christian shows. That I was judging a competition in Temecula at the time when this fire occurred, and I was trying to get home to my kids and my wife at the time, and couldn't. And there was so much confusion. You couldn't figure out anything. You couldn't find out what was happening, where you needed to go, where you need to report, because everything was so confusing. And what I'm understanding is that evacuations were done extremely poorly. And as far as I know right now, not much has changed. And now with this rezoning issue, they want to put more people in the areas where they had the most congestion when it came to this fire disaster that was occurring, where evacuation was delayed and not happening in a safe and quick manner, especially in regards to what the community felt at that time. So the idea that they're going to add another 1,000 or 2,000, 3,000 more people in a city that isn't really managing what it has currently as far as a population is concerning for many of us who live here in this community and love this community. As I said in the video, my sister was 15 years older than I was. And so when I was, I think, 10 years old, my sister moved to Yorba Linda. And I remember living in La Mirada, California, which is really not that far, right? I grew up and lived in La Mirada. I remember saying, wow, you're moving all the way out to Yorba Linda. She might as well be moving to Tennessee as far as I was concerned, and thought, wow, Yorba Linda is like this podunk cowboy. It was like a whole nother world to me as a kid. And I remember it seemed to me that it took forever to get here to Yorba Linda from La Mirada. But I remember once I got here, what a beautiful town it was. and the people were awesome. And there were still a lot of orange trees and olive trees and lemon trees and whatever other farming that was going on. And there were horses and cattle, from what I remember. It was a beautiful place. I remember driving on a dirt road to No Woods, which was in Anaheim, but you had to drive through this dirt road through Yorba Linda to get to No Woods. Just some great memories of driving on Imperial Highway, which was a dirt road as it came into Yorba Linda. And it's sad to see and hear about what I'm hearing of the people that are on the city council and what it is, the decisions they're making, their disdain for the community is shocking. I got to say, it's almost the same thing that I discovered when I began to sit in the Placentia Yorba Linda Unified School District school board meetings. Is that as a parent of having kids, the oldest of my children are 29 and my youngest is going to be 9, is that I did not put a lot of time and effort into understanding who the school board members were. I just thought they would be people that cared about our kids and loved them enough to make sure they were getting educated and were taking much of their own time to make sure they were doing the right thing. Boy, was I sadly mistaken. We had the most incompetent people and had, I guess, for many years, very incompetent people on our school board. And when I started sitting in the meetings, I was going, how is it possible that you have at least 2 members, one member in particular who's been there for some god-awful time, something like 20 or 30 years, who is one of the most incompetent people when it comes to education on the school board. Their competency is in how do they nuzzle up to the teachers unions or to the Democratic Party. And again, I don't want somebody necessarily that's also going to nuzzle up to the Republican Party if their first priority isn't our kids. If their first priority on the school board isn't the education of our kids, not the indoctrination, but the education of our kids, and their first priority is about what the teachers unions want, or what the DNC wants, or even what the RNC wants, that's not who I want on the school board. I want people who care about our kids and care about their education and want to make sure that they know how to read, write, count, and how to think. None of this other shenanigans, none of this other nonsense that's going on. No pornography, no boys dressing in the girls' bathrooms or girls' locker rooms, no girls dressing in the boys' locker rooms or boys' bathrooms, no boys competing against girls in girls' sports. The racist things that are going on, the LGBTQ stuff that's going on, none of that stuff has any place in our schools. And so when we're looking who we're putting into the school board, I don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican per se. I want to know that you care about our kids. That's the most important thing. And so now when we look at the city council, does the city council now care about our community? Does it care about the people? Does it care about what the school board is doing in their community? Do they care about school choice? I think that's important. The answer would be yes, they should. And not about what fame they get, or that people recognize them when they go to a restaurant. Who gives a crap? I care about who is going to be in our city council, who cares about the best interest about our safety when it comes to policing, when it comes to fire, when it comes to building permits, and do they put a high-rise apartment building in an area that only has one major road that goes in and out? How ridiculous and stupid do you have to be to say yes to something like that? How moronic do you have to be? Because obviously there's some other thing that's causing you that. You either don't live in that area and don't care about the people that live there, or there's something else. There's another reason why. Did they donate to your campaign? Is that why you've decided that you're going to side with this nonsense of putting a multi-unit apartment complex in a place where one should not be, for the safety of the community, for the safety of the children? If schools, and if there's a fire that breaks out, how are you going to navigate evacuating a school when you have an overabundance of people that are trying to also drive out with their their cats and their dogs and their kids and their family piled on top of their car. And now we can't even evacuate the schools and the businesses that are already in that area. A business alone, a warehouse of, I don't know, I'm just going to throw a number out there, of 20,000 square foot building that has several offices in it, you could have 200 to 300 people in that office building. So now during the day, during business hours, you're adding a large number of people to our community. They don't live in this community, but you've added a large number of people that have cars, and most people drive to work alone. Not a lot of people are carpooling, right? A lot of people are just driving a lone vehicle to work. But now you're adding all of this. And so I know I'm on a little bit of a rant now, but my job here, at least, is what I'm trying to tell you, is that in Vote PYL Vote, is that from this point on, what I want to do is find out who it is that cares about our community, who is it that cares about our schools, and what are we going to do about getting them elected and getting the people. There's people that have been around way too long on these things. People that have been around as long as I've been in the Brea community and had business in Yorba Linda. I know that I see the same faces in the city council. Is it possible that maybe they've been there too long? I know for sure there are 2 people in the school board that have been there too long, and they need to absolutely be out. They care nothing about our kids, and they care nothing about parents in our school district. Char-Marie says, hi, Andy. Just happened to be scrolling Facebook. Glad I caught this live. Me too. Hey, Priscilla, nice to see you. Although you don't live in the area, I'm glad to have you on here because you may know somebody who knows. Share it out. I don't care where you live. If you don't live in the area, if you're watching this, share this out so the chances of somebody seeing it are greater. If you're watching this on my personal Facebook page, or maybe you're watching it on the California Parent Alliance, if you would go to the Placentia Yorba Linda, Vote PYL Vote Facebook page, if you would go there and subscribe and make sure you sign up to be announced, to get the announcements when I go live, I would greatly appreciate you doing that. Maria Stubbs says, Andy, how much do I wish we can get PYLUSD to ban transgender ideology? Yes. Penalize staff and schools that teach CRT, that the entire PYLUSD curriculum is reviewed and eliminate those inappropriate ones, and much more. Absolutely. Maria, you're absolutely right. We're not going to be able to do that until we get these other 2 people off. You know, Marilyn, who is somebody that we originally voted because she said she was going to take care of our kids and do a specific job on education, not indoctrination, has been a wobbler. She, from time to time, votes for indoctrination and against education. Sometimes she votes for education and against indoctrination. Kindly, thank God, she kept her campaign promise and helped us vote down CRT. In other words, helped us ban CRT. What I don't think people understand is that the LGBTQ, the demise that they're calling of the nuclear family, of the bad, the educating of children to think the police are bad, is also our part of CRT. And I know that somehow that got messed, that they thought that CRT was simply about race issues and teaching people that they're either oppressed or oppressors. That was only one aspect of what CRT is. CRT, which is critical race theory, also includes the indoctrination of many genders, getting away from the truth and the fact that there's only 2 genders. And so that this thought that they want to bring in, or this idea that they want to educate children to believe that there's multiple genders, more than 2, up to 50. We've here up to 100 or something. I'm not even sure anymore. Who even knows? I don't even care. You can do whatever you want when you're at home. A teacher can be a puppy when they're at home, but as long as they're a human teacher educating, do that. I don't care if when you go home you put on a puppy suit and walk around your house acting like a dog. I don't care. I don't care if you're heterosexual. I don't care. But I don't want you coming to the classroom and saying, I had great sex with my spouse last night. And let me tell you about it. And it's super important that you hear about the positions we are in. It's the very same thing. We don't want that. We don't want to hear a teacher come in and say, as a man, I have a husband and we have great sex. I don't care. I want you to come and educate the kids how to read. If you can be what it is that you are, whatever that is, but when you come into a school and you put on your teacher hat, I only want you to educate. Tell us that our kid needs to learn how to read a book more efficiently. His reading comprehension is not as good as it should be. And then I want you, teacher, to tell me how it is that you're going to address this, because he's probably not the only one that's struggling with reading comprehension. And how are you going to deal with that? Well, I don't want you then to say, well, we're going to use these books, how Timmy wears a dress and how great why? No, I want you to use sound educational processes and teaching process on how to do that. One of the things I want to look at as we begin to look at these two candidates, which we have Todd Frazier, who is the only candidate you should be considering for the school board, along with Rich Engel, the only two that you should be considering. No other candidate matters. A bunch of us has looked at the candidates that are putting their hats in the ring for the midterms in 2022, and there's only two candidates you need to vote for. You need to vote out the other two, Buck and oh shoot. I don't know why I have a brain fart with their name. Buck and Freeman. Oh my gosh. Buck and Freeman. Those two need to go. They've been around too long. They're incompetent. They have no idea what they're doing. You would think you'd be in education for as long as they are, and then you would have an idea what you're doing. They know nothing about education. They only know how to please the unions. That's all they know. It's a very bizarre thing that you could be a school board member in the education space and know nothing about education, because they get perplexed about things when you bring them up about education. They get asked a question, or they get called on one of their points, and then their comeback is so strange and so bizarre. This issue of CRT has been coming up for almost an entire year, probably for an entire year, maybe longer. And it wasn't until they began to vote on banning CRT that Freeman, thank you, Shar. I don't know why I freeze on her name constantly. Is that at the time of voting, now again, remember, we had been at this for a year talking about it in these school board meetings. Freeman, it may not have been her, it may have been somebody else, asked a question about an aspect of it that is one of the core tenets of CRT. Now all of a sudden this is beginning, and I'm getting all fired up. But they just want to know the meaning of a word. How about that? Because I don't want to go back and revisit all this stuff, because I'm going to get so fired up it's going to take me off on a whole nother thing. They asked a meaning. I think it was about, it had to do with one of the aspects of CRT. And they didn't ask the question about one of the main tenets of it until the day. So you've been at this for a year and you didn't want to know anything about CRT until the day they decided to vote on it. That was the bigger concern. If I go through all the elements of CRT and that kind of stuff, it's going to take me down a road, and this show is going to end up being 2 hours long. And I don't want it to be that long. I want to come on to let you know what it is we're going to do, and how important it is that we look at who it is we're voting in. And I'm going to tell you right now that you're going to hear me repeating this probably pretty close to every show at some point. And that is that the only candidates for the Placentia Yorba Linda Unified School District that you need to be voting for in November is Todd Frazier and Rich Engel. That's it. Those two. Vote for the two of them, and that's it. In Todd Frazier, you have an accountant who is incredible at his business of accounting. And this is one of the important things that we need on the school board, because we deal with budgets so much. Sure, we have people on there that are district superintendents who he'll deal with the budget. But what we're learning is that these superintendents can kind of, change things around, and they use word salads to confuse everybody that's sitting or an attempt. They don't confuse anybody, but in an attempt to confuse people, they try to throw in stuff. And then I remember in particular talking to Todd, he was like looking at the guy that was dealing with the budget, the superintendent, who was talking nonsense about the the budget and what they were spending on X, Y, and Z. And Todd Frazier's going, no, that doesn't add up. And why are they doing that? Because then, and so we definitely need him. We got Rich Engel, who is an attorney. And of course, we have many issues that are going to be, touching the edges of legalities and what it is we can and cannot do, and when it is we need to push against or push back against Sacramento, and what our rights are. And an attorney on the board would be beneficial when it comes to those things, because we know for sure Sacramento could care less about our kids. We know the teachers unions could care less about our kids, and we have 2 school board members who could care less about our kids. So with that, we need an attorney, I think would be great to have on the board, who also loves our kids, who also wants them to be educated, who also works well with the other members of the school board, other than the 2 I mentioned, which is Buck and Freeman. All right. One last thing I want to do before I leave you, I just want to kind of get your wheels turning. I want you to get on to Vote PYL Vote. I want you to share it out and subscribe and be prepared, because I got some interviews. I'm already reaching out to people to do some interviews about this rezoning that's happening in our communities, and what it is you need to know about that. And are we late? Is there nothing we can do about it? Or is there something we can do about it? We need to know these things. I think it's important, not only in regard to this rezoning, is that let's just say that it's a lost cause, that they're going to build this high, apartment complex in a place where it shouldn't be built. It's going to endanger the community. It's going to cause all kinds of problems. Let's say that that's a goner. Well, what we still need to do is find out who it is on the city council who is for this thing. We need to find out on the city council who decided that they thought it was important to deceive us, to side with some of the people like Michelle Steele, I think is the rhino that we have currently in the Congress. I'm not sure of all the names again. I'm starting to learn them to make sure. One of the ladies that we just got recently voted in is all about herself and about her campaign promises, apparently. And not about her campaign promises, but about her campaign donors, and cares nothing about her campaign promises. And the words she said all of this, but none of this happened once she got on in the job as a congresswoman. But whatever her donors wanted, or whatever her friends wanted, that despise our communities and despise our kids, that's where she decided to go. She even came to our church, and our church supported her and prayed for her, and ended up stabbing all of us in the back. So she's another one that we got to look at. So who on our city council is friends with these types of people that in their campaign say one thing, and then when they get voted in, they begin to do something else? Who in the city council does that? Who in the Fullerton city council does that? Who in the Placentia city council does that? Who are these people that don't care about what happens with our kids, but are more concerned about indoctrinating our kids? Who are these people? And we need to vote them out, and we need to put a spotlight on them and make it loud and proud. But again, these things that I want you to do now, what this show is all about, is to kind of give you a kind of an idea of what this is going to be all about. Again, I'm going to tell you that I understand where you think that I lie as far as my politics are concerned. But I'm not happy, obviously, with members of the party that I do vote on. And so we need to vote them out just as fast and just as quickly as anybody else that I think doesn't care about our kids. It's not necessarily about the political party. It is about what it is. It's about their policies. It's about what it is they do when they're in their positions. And if they lie to us, if they say one thing and then do something else, we want to be able to expose that. So any of you out there who are watching this, who see this, and have contacts that have knowledge that I can count on as being truthful, I'm not going to put up with people that contact me and then just simply want to lie. I don't want people that were running against one of these candidates and lost, and now you have a vendetta against the other person. I don't want any of you doing that either. I want to know who these people are, how they voted. I want to know who these people are and when they lied. I want to know who these people are and when they took a stance on something that was against the health of our children, the mental state of our children, the education of our children. I want to know that. I'm not interested in people that are just simply upset because they're your neighbor and they have loud parties. Um, um, you know, if they did something wrong and illegal and that kind of stuff, I would be interested in that. But I need it to be true and I need to be factual. So, any of you, and I saw that some people got really heated at the city council meeting. Any of you that have a very strong feelings but aren't too crazy, I would like to have you on the show. I'd like to interview and get your point of view. Those of you that have been long-term residents, is that the way to say it? Long residents of the Yorba Linda area or the Fullerton area, the Anaheim area, Brea area that are affected by some of these members of our school board or even your city council members, please contact me. Please send a message in and let's have a discussion and see how it is that we bring it to the attention of the viewers to really look at what it is we're doing coming into 2022 midterms and then obviously 2024. There's going to be even more seats. I believe in 2024, if I'm not wrong, there's 2 seats available for the city council in Yorba Linda. And again, I'm not quite sure Fullerton, Brea, Anaheim, and that kind of stuff, how you guys that are watching may be able to affect that. But as time goes on, my goal is to learn as much as possible about what's happening in the political environment here in the area, which I'm calling the PYL community, the PYL area. And I hope you'll be along for the ride and feed me as much information as you can, and I'll do my best to sort it out. And I will definitely be looking for help to do this in a way that is valuable to the community, so they can count on this information to be truthful, to be factual, to be based on information that will lead us down a positive path for our kids' education and for our community, to keep all of us safe and to keep the pristine of this area. We want to keep the pristine. We don't want, like I said in the video, we don't want anybody that's in any of these positions of power to LA or Orange County. We cannot do that. We can see it, what's happening, or San Diego, right? We don't want anything coming up from San Diego or coming down from LA. We are surrounded by nonsense. We are surrounded by utter failure policies that are destroying our communities. We could actually, and I have this goal, I have this idea, this thought, this dream. I had a dream. I have a dream that we can take what's happening here in Yorba Linda, Placentia, Fullerton, Anaheim, Brea, and we can begin to grow out into California and change California back to the way that it used to be when I was a kid. California was amazing growing up. It was fantastic. Going to the mountains, going to the beach, going to the riverbed, going to San Diego, Los Angeles at night, going to the Whiskey A Go-Go, going to the Hollywood Bowl, going to the Forum to see Queen, right? All the stuff. I used to go to the Kings games there at the Forum. Although he had to drive through Inglewood, most of the area was not that bad, and you could do so much. But now it's good. So we're shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. And although we are very privileged to live in this area, it's shocking what I see happening. That's going to simply bring us to a place where we're just no better than LA, San Diego, Sacramento, San Francisco. But we don't want that. We need to save our community here, and we need to take it to a point where it can begin to bleed out into these areas, and hopefully someday soon we can take our state back. But we have to start here locally, and I want your help in doing that. So please, again, subscribe, share this out to others that you think may need to hear it or have any information and they may want to contact me and let me know that they want to help out. Again, I'm looking for people to go on camera. They could run their own show. They can come on during the day and say, hey, this is Fred, Walla Walla Walla, and I'm here at the Tri-City Park, and they're looking at drying up this pond and putting in an apartment building. And I would love to have a reporter like that we could go live to and say, hey, I'm going to Fred live over at Tri-City Park. He has a report. Or have you do your own show on this particular channel. So please, if you're interested, I can show you how to do it. I can show you how to use your phone and put it on a tripod, and you'll get a little earpiece or something like that, or a mic, and you'll be able to broadcast from wherever you're at. Or you can do this. You can put a studio in your house, just like I have, and you can run your own show. But we're looking for people with integrity, people that are interested in facts, and people that are interested in looking for truth and changing our community back to the way that it used to be. All right, my friends. All right, that's it for me. I'll talk to you later. I don't have an outro yet or an intro, so I'm going to just end up ending this show. All right, my friends. Love you guys. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye.